We begin, though, this afternoon with that severe weather threat. Good afternoon. I'm Sherman Cha. We're expecting big storms to move through and to bring in some heavy rain. Take a look at this video from Dallas and North Texas, where they are seeing water rescues going on right now. These are the same storms moving towards us and could drop just as much rain. Brooks Garner here now with the latest. Brooks?
Sherman, the good news for us is a lot of things would have to come together for it to get that bad, but we may see some ponding on some of the feeder roads, the frontage roads, and a lot of the notorious low spots, thanks to a system that is still organizing coming our way. Severe thunderstorms happening in Louisiana with earlier tornado warnings just over the border. We've got a wintry mix, an ice storm happening in parts of North Texas, just northwest of Dallas. But for us, the story is going to be the flood threat. Flood advisories north of Beaumont, flash flood warnings along the Sabine River with some severe thunderstorm warnings. And we're now starting to see here in our local Houston area very heavy rains setting up, especially on the southwest side along 59 from Brazos, Bend State Park up through Thompson's and Sugar Land. These will be moving through the Galleria. The Galleria, one of those spots that can flood pretty easily, especially when you're getting storms developing over the same areas, dumping between 1 and 2 inches of rain per hour. So you can do the math on that. If it rains for several hours, you get a lot of rain very quickly. Right now, downtown northeast side getting wet. Also downtown Houston, down through Bel Air, 610 on the southwest side especially. Also Genoa near Hobby Airport getting very heavy rain. On the north side of town, there's more rain happening up toward Livingston. And as I mentioned, we're not out of the woods from this thing even through this lunch hour, because we've got to get through this, which arrives just in time for the evening commute, Sherman. So a lot more rain on the way. We'll track it, plus a big temperature difference coming up.
All righty. Thank you, Brooks. You will want to keep on top of the weather, so you can go ahead and use that KHOU 11 app. Easy to use, right on your phone. You can get the radar, weather cams, and the latest forecast. Christian evangelist Billy Graham has died. Word came this morning that the 99-year-old passed away. He is best known for his crusades across the country, including one right here in Houston. Danielle Nottingham takes a look back at his life.
I'd like to go to heaven. I'm looking forward to it.
Billy Graham is credited with bringing the born-again religious movement into the American mainstream. Life magazine listed him as one of the 100 most important Americans for the 20th century.
The Son of God.
He was inspired as a teenager to spread the gospel.
Christ came into my life, transformed me, changed me, made me a new person. I've seen him change thousands of lives.
Billy Graham's crusade caught fire.
All the troubles and problems of America tonight and of the world stem from the fact that we as a human race have sinned against Almighty God.
He was referred to as the unofficial White House chaplain. Nixon was a close friend and frequent golf partner. George Bush called Graham to the White House the night before he launched the first Gulf War. Younger President Bush credits Graham with turning him away from drinking and towards embracing God. Millions around the world attended Graham's evangelical crusades, bought his books, read his monthly magazine. His column appeared in more than 200 newspapers, and his weekly radio program was carried on 700 radio stations. In later years, he tempered his views on the automatic damnation of non-Christians. A frail Billy Graham was honored by 3 former presidents at the dedication of his library in Charlotte.
To have a man whose public ministry has reached hundreds of millions simply because he believed God had called him to use his massive talents to show that he loved his neighbor as his Savior told him is a great gift.
Shortly afterwards, his wife of more than 60 years, Ruth Bell Graham, died and was buried on the library grounds. Billy Graham reportedly told his children and grandchildren that he was, quote, looking forward to the next service, when he would be buried at her side.
My father, Billy Graham.
He lived to celebrate his 95th birthday at a party with about 900 guests. They watched Graham's video, My Hope America. It was the Reverend's last sermon. Danielle Nottingham, CBS News.
And former President George H.W. Bush shared these photos from 1991. He said about Billy Graham, his faith in Christ and his totally honest evangelical spirit inspired people across the country and around the world. I think Billy touched the hearts of not only Christians, but people of all faiths because he was such a good man. I was privileged to have him as a personal friend. Graham made many appearances here in Houston, including at the Astrodome, at HBU, and even held one of his Billy Graham crusades here at Rice University. These are photos from 1981 at Rice, and Graham also served as a friend and mentor to many here as well. Pastor Joel Osteen posting these pictures, saying that Graham has always been and always will be a hero in his home, calling him gracious. We will have more reaction from Joel Osteen as well as from Pastor Ed Young from Second Baptist Church. We'll have that this afternoon. In other news, the Astros' top pitching prospect, Forrest Whitley, has been suspended for 50 games for violating the minor league drug program. During his suspension, Whitley will not be paid. Reports show he was poised to reach the major leagues this season. Neither the MLB or Astros would comment on if the violations were for performance-enhancing drugs or for something else. Still ahead, a Houston firefighter arrested for sexual assault, what court documents say about the 2015 case, and why the woman spoke out months after the incident. Plus, from memorials to moments of silence and walkouts, what students are doing after the deadly rampage in Florida. And how the Houston Astros are saluting the Parkland shooting victims. Stay with us.
An innocent child killed.
Just drove down, I covered up my baby, I laid on top of her while she was in the car seat.
Caught in the crossfire.
Snatched out the car and started screaming and running. Somebody help my baby was shot.
Now the FBI is stepping in.
And you can see the light in that surveillance video. What does that tell you?
Oh, they were prepared.
Could newly enhanced video be the key?
This beautiful, innocent child had no say-so at all.
Missing pieces, tonight on KHOU 11 News at 10.
Living with chest pain was limiting what my husband could do. When he was turned down for heart surgery, we learned about protected PCI with Impella, a treatment option for some high-risk heart patients who are not candidates for bypass surgery. If you or a loved one have been turned down for heart surgery, ask your doctor and visit Impella.com to learn about the procedure and see if it may be an option for you. We're so grateful to our heart team that protected PCI with Impella was an option for him and us.
Homeowners, are you tired of low water pressure? Being scalded in the shower when someone flushes, or had expensive leaks in your pipes? I'm Jeff Butler, owner of Repipe Specialists. We eliminate all these problems by repiping your home with new PEX pipes. We repipe most homes in just 1 or 2 days, plus we'll patch your walls and give you a lifetime guarantee. We've completed over 30,000 repipes and can help you too. Call us today for a free estimate to get great water pressure and no more leaks.
When you're hurt in a car wreck, the insurance company has no duty to help you. So what do? I'm attorney Rick McGuire. Call me. If it's a drunk, impaired, or distracted driver, an 18-wheeler wreck, or any type of vehicle accident, if you're hurt, have lost wages or property damage, call Rick McGuire, 713-600-1000. The insurance company has no duty to pay for your damages, and you need to know your rights. So call me right now, 713-600-1000.
If you play with fire, you're going to get flame grilled. Burger King is now delivered with DoorDash. So go ahead, get caught up in the heat of the moment. Order Burger King on the DoorDash app and get free delivery this week only.
Houston police are mourning a fellow officer this afternoon. A canine officer had to be euthanized after being seriously injured in the line of duty. Janelle Fort gives us a look at Ronnie's last act on the force.
Canine Officer Ronnie was known for being the best of the best. He served as an HPD patrol dog for 7 years, racking up 250 captures. This video of him taking down a dancing suspect last November introduced him to the public as the top dog. So it's no surprise that he went down taking out a bad guy.
The dog went out the way that he'd want to go out, which is capturing a suspect.
Tuesday night, Ronnie was on duty. He and his handler were chasing after this guy who was in a stolen car. When he took off into the woods, Ronnie sprung into action after him.
Handler couldn't see very well, kind of dark, but it seems that Ronnie got his right forearm, so right arm, stuck in a root or some kind of wooden object, maybe a log.
The blow destroyed his elbow. X-rays show just how bad the injury was. Officers rushed him to this animal hospital, his care led by emergency vet Dr. Laura Ron.
We knew this was bad from the second they walked in, even before I touched him.
But bad turned to worse.
He's an older dog. He already had arthritis, especially to his left forearm that we've been dealing with for years, already on lots of medicines.
Dr. Ron says the choice to put him down was a hard one.
It's like a racehorse with a broken leg. What quality of life is that going to have? Even though it's not a decision everyone might agree with, it was made for that dog.
So they let him go peacefully with his handler at his side. Not only was he man's best friend, but he was one of Houston's finest. Standing for Houston, Janelle Ford, KHOU 11 News.
In other news, a Houston firefighter has been charged for a kidnapping and sexual assault in Colorado. 28-year-old Luke McIntosh was arrested in Denver on felony charges. Court documents say that he met a woman at a bar, that they drank shots, but she said she did not think she was impaired. She says she woke up later in her apartment with him on top of her. Several months later, after learning 2 other women had claimed McIntosh assaulted them, she notified authorities. He faces a kidnapping charge and 3 counts of sexual assault in the 2015 incident. 1 week after the deadly shooting in Florida, thousands of students from Florida to D.C. walked out of classes this morning as a call to change gun legislation. This is one of the high schools in Florida where students walked out. This after 17 people died in the Parkland High School massacre. In D.C., students there marched to the Capitol.
Gun control legislation needs to be passed into law because far too many innocent people have been killed because of the easy and overwhelming access to firearms in this country.
President Trump is open to raising the age limit on purchasing certain firearms and is pushing for a ban on bump stocks. He meets today with families and survivors from Florida, Sandy Hook, and the Columbine shootings. And when the Astros meet the Nationals in their first spring training game, both teams will honor the Parkland High School. Each team will wear the school's hats when they take the field. That'll be Friday at noon.